Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. I just realized I've never heard my niece fart. Over a decade now. Over a decade of Thanksgivings with her, and not one turkey toot. You know what I mean? Should I be concerned? Should I sit her down and say, "Look, sweetheart, are you baking air muffins every day? Are you flatulating? You know?" She's like, "Why are you so interested in whether or not I fart?" And it's like, "Well, I'm concerned about your sense of humor, darling. I don't want you to become an uptight person who is embarrassed about about farting. So I'm just concerned." So I don't know. Well, at what age do you talk to your children about farts? Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I'm your host, the Madman. Hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. I sure did. You know, the cataloging people's farts, who farts when, and how many times I hear it over the course of a Thanksgiving. You know, I have a little app for that. They have an app for that, I'm sure. Fartcatalog.com. You ever know? Anyway, this is Shock Monkey Radio. Like I said, hey, could you do me a favor? Just like this video. Could you just like it? You know, go ahead and subscribe to the channel too. You know, that kind of stuff costs you nothing. But if you wanted it to cost something, you can always send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, or go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio and become a patron today. I would appreciate it. Also, you can follow me on social media, as you can see over there. So, where was I? You see, Facebook is weird. You know, it puts them out of order. My posts out of order. I don't know. Anyway. What was I going to talk about? Oh, you want to... Did you have a good Thanksgiving? I woke up on Thanksgiving morning and had the scare of my life. It's been a long time since I've been scared of spiders, all right? And so, I mean, I've always had a fear of spiders, but generally I'm not scared unless they, surprise me, you know? And so that happened on Thursday morning. On Thursday morning, you know, I had a couple beers. Evening before Thanksgiving, had some beers, had some cigarettes, and so forth. And I woke up with a stuffy nose and stuff like that, you know. And so I woke up and I went over to my office where I keep the box of Kleenex. And so I went in there and I pulled a tissue out to blow my nose. And all I'm thinking about is I got to get this gunk out of my face. And as I'm pulling the tissue up, I see this big black spider crawling up the tissue. And it was like slow motion. It's like my eyes saw it, hit my brain. Right, and then I felt my lungs start filling with oxygen, you know, real quickly, right? And then I could feel the nerve impulse traveling down from my head, right? As the spider's getting closer and closer to my hand, it hits my spine, and then my arm just goes, as I start screaming, I am glad no one on earth saw my true scare face, because I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed afterwards. I killed the hell out of that spider. If you scare me like that, you're going to die. You know, generally, if I see a spider on the wall and I have the jump on you, I have the initiative, I may even try to get you outside. But you hide and cling on to my Kleenex, it's on. He was a big one, too. He was that big. You know what I mean? He was a big one. So every now and then, God keeps me humble, right? It's I am so much bigger than that thing. I outweigh it by 250,000%. It's ridiculous. And I was terrified. And I was embarrassed. And now I get to share my embarrassment with you. So please send me your money. Alrighty. I tell you what, you know, some people go out of town for Thanksgiving, and sometimes, you know, other people don't. And sometimes those people who go out of town will say, "Hey, can you watch my dog?" And sometimes those people who don't go out of town say, "Yeah, I'll watch your dog. I'll watch your 150-pound dog. I will watch your dog who eats so much, poops so much, it makes me ashamed. I don't poop that much." And he has a healthier Anyway, he doesn't, let me put it this way. The dog doesn't drink as much beer as I do. How about that? So I said, I'd watch your dog. I'll watch your dog, buddy. And I tell you, last time, I think it was a year ago, I last watched the dog. And that time, the dog exclusively pooped in the house. He only pooped in the house. And that was a little irritating and stuff like that. But this time, he only pooped in the house 66% of the time. So we're getting a little bit of training there. He's starting to understand how the process works at my place. And so, it's just, but it's like, it's such a big dog that it needs to be able to run and stuff like that. And I don't have a huge yard or anything like that to let him run. So he's cooped up all the time, and he doesn't understand. Like, a lot of dogs don't understand me because I sit in an office chair and like watch videos and type and stuff like that. I'm not a person who sits on the couch. And so when I like watch my friend's dog or even my sister's dog and stuff like that, they'll come up to me in the office and they're looking at me as like, what are you doing here? Come sit on the couch. They'll act like they come this way. And then you come in there and then they jump up on the couch and they're like, hey, let's sit down and watch TV. And you're like, no, I don't do that. I don't sit down on the couch and watch TV. But the dog is used to that. So it's like, oh, I guess he doesn't like me. He doesn't want to sit on the couch with me. And dogs, they have no understanding what is going on. All I know is that your daddy, your family is gone one day. Some stranger shows up, throws you in his car, and drives off. It's like, you have no idea. And this dog is one of those big dogs that slobbers everywhere. I am telling you, the center console in my car with that dog sitting there watching, right on over my shoulder, trying to figure out gravity. It was like a swimming pool on my console. Every single trip, I had to like wipe it down a couple times during the trip, get him in the car. Oh my God, and he sheds. Oh, sheds so much. And so sometimes I'm confused about why there are some cultures that eat dogs. But then after, a week of watching your dog, I'm like, I kind of get it. There are times I was like, I am tired of cleaning up your poo. I'm ready to wrap parts of you in my freezer and we can eat off you for a few months. I'm kidding. I would never do that. But sometimes the thought entered my mind. You ever like want to kill a dog? I guess that's the point of this. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. I love dogs. They're a pain in the neck. They're like any relationship. They're a pain in the neck, but you love them stupid, so, and, it's like, let's be honest, it's like any human relationship is like, I love you silly, but it's a pain in the neck, just knowing you, helping you out and stuff like that. But you know what? I don't know. That's love. That's love. Dogs may not understand it. I tell you what, that dog sure didn't understand what the hell was going on. He was like, oh, I can walk everywhere in the house. Oh, I pooped once and now I can only stay in the laundry room. Finally get him to poop outside once. Then I say, okay, you can go back into the house. All right. Within 10 minutes, poops in the house again. Back in the laundry room. He doesn't understand. And as I was leaving, I was throwing his like water out the back door and I'm trying to block it with my body, but it's a metal water dish. And I'm trying to throw the water out the back door. And he takes his chance. He figures it's a shot of freedom and tries to bolt between my legs out the door. So I quickly like close my legs trying to stop him. But at the same time, the steel dish comes down and go bonk on the head. And he whimpers and runs over to the corner. He's like, what the hell? What did you do that for? And I'm just like, I'm trying to explain to him, I'm sorry, you can't. I don't want to chase you around the neighborhood right now. But I'm sorry I accidentally hit you with the bowl on the head. I'm sorry, and I just realized I'm trying to explain to this dog, and there's no way he could possibly understand. He just thinks that I'm a dick. I don't like that guy with this laundry room. He hits me on the head with the dish. It's like, it's not intentional, but you can't explain intention to a dog. Anyway, it's frustrating because you love them. You wish you could be able to communicate better to them. It's like, it's not intentional. It's like even your family. You hurt your family sometimes. It's like, I'm sorry. Sometimes I'm just an idiot. My bad. Anyway. All right. So over the break, I watched a bunch of movies. The first one I'm going to talk about is Mississippi Burning. You think you can find that one? I'm sure you've all seen it. Oh, your kid's on top of it. Yeah, Mississippi Burning is a 1988 film. Classic. I've seen it dozens of times. A very, I guess it's listed under drama. It's a very dramatic, excellent film about a very painful time in America's, upbringing in many ways. And of course, I mean, racism, all that stuff. I mean, it was an awful time back in the 60s and stuff like that. And I love the difference between Gene Hackman and Willem Dafoe, because I thought they were a great pair in this movie, because they come to this town, they're looking for these missing, what were they, like liberal workers, some sort of campaign workers, and this black kid that went missing, and they get to this town in Mississippi, and Gene Hackman's like, I'm gonna go see what's going on over here in the salons and stuff like that. And Willem Dafoe's character is like, I'm going to go check in the hotel. I'm going to sign some checks. I'm going to fill out the ledger. I'm going to call our bosses. There's just two different like personalities when it comes to like the good cop, bad cop kind of thing, or just, cops in general, because they all have a personality in many ways. And Gene Hackman, he's a classic human intelligence kind of guy. So they get to the town, and Willem Dafoe's like, I'm going to go take care of of our lodgings. He's a very logistics-oriented guy. But Gene Hackman, he goes to the salon, starts talking to the ladies. He goes to the barbershop, talks with the guys. That's human intelligence. It's like, that's always been a place where people meet and talk and rumors circulate and so forth. And a lot of that movie has that aspect in it. And so it proves that Gene Hackman, knew what his best talents were, and Willem Dafoe knew where his best talents were. And so they frequently would have disagreements and arguments in the course of the movie, but they're still working for the same side, which is the FBI. So, I think it's an excellent cast, obviously. It's very well written. The dialogue is just incredible. You talk about other actors that are in this. You got Brad Dourif. You got the kid here who was on Family Matters. And what was her name? Frances McDormand. She plays the wife of Brad Dourif. A Klan member. And who looked at Frances McDormand and said, I'm going to make you a movie star? That's what I want to know. Anyway, but I mean, talented actors. It's probably because she had acting abilities. So, I mean, so obviously it's a story about them, finding out that the Klan's involved in killing these people. And it's awful. But watching it this time, it made me think a lot for some reason about like Ruby Ridge and Waco. But after thinking about it for a while now, I think it has very little to do with Ruby Ridge and Waco, because the federal charges that they're seeking in this was a violation of civil rights, which is the law of the land. It should have been the law of the land before this. It's one thing to say, states have rights. It's another thing to say that, no federal law should apply to all states, So what I'm saying is that, once the Emancipation Proclamation came about, then you entered this Jim Crow era. And that Jim Crow era, which culminated into the Civil Rights Movement, that was like a slavery light, I suppose, which is a horrible way to think of it, or think about treating other people. But the point is that I may think whatever I want to think about the FBI, about Ruby Ridge, about Waco, Texas, and understand that there will always be a need for the FBI. And I think this is one of the movies where it proves that we do need some sort of federal law enforcement. However, when you think about issues like Ruby Ridge or Waco, it's more like that they were in too deep. They had spent too much money with these standoffs and stuff like that, and they didn't want to look bad in the press, and so they ended up pushing the envelope. Why do people say it? Pushing the envelope and not envelope. Anyway. And so, and you could say that we should dismantle a bunch of the bureaucratic mess that is this swamp over in D.C. including the FBI. But I think we're always going to need some sort of federal law enforcement because interstate crime happens, you know, not just intrastate, interstate. You know. Anyway, Mississippi Burning, 1988 film, 12 of 13 stars. Why I didn't get 13 stars? Because it made me feel bad. I think it's white guilt. Made me feel bad. But I mean, I've seen it dozens of times. I'll probably watch it again at some point. I've seen it dozens of times, and it makes me think every single time. That's what I love about it. All right. The next movie I'm going to talk about is called Defendor, a 2009 movie. And this is my favorite movie of all of these three. I think the whole week, this whole past week, we were off that I watched. It's a Woody Harrelson movie. That's Woody Harrelson. And he plays this developmentally, I don't know, what they like fetal alcohol. When back in my day, he's a little slow. That's what they would say. He's a little slow. He had fetal alcohol syndrome. His mom died when he was young, and she had ran off with some guy and died of a drug overdose and stuff like that. And he was raised by his grandfather and comic books. And his grandfather died, and then he was left on his own, with some exceptions with friendships. And that's kind of what this movie is really about. It's about friendship. And so taking his grandfather's trench club from like World War I trench club and a series of other gadgets. Like if you look there at Woody Harrelson's helmet, he's wearing a helmet with a pair of flashlights and a video camera lens mounted, which runs to a VCR in his equipment, on his equipment belt. And he records everything that happens. And what he does is he dresses up as this Defendor character with an O. He gets very mad if you don't spell it correctly. Defendor character, and he has a bunch of little toys. He has a car that he calls Defendog. His car is called Defendog. He didn't have a special name for his hideout. He should have, you know. His like weapons, he's got the trench club, you know, but he'll like throw marbles at people. And apparently it's not as ineffective as you might think, because all of a sudden it may hurt a little bit, but all of a sudden there's a bunch of marbles laying at your feet, you know. Not as ineffective as you might think in the context of this movie, I suppose. And he also has like jars of wasps that he'll throw at people's feet, and the wasp will start stinging. It's basically how somebody with an 80 IQ would fight crime. And that's basically the issue in this movie is he's a little slow. He wants to help people, you know, and he usually gets his butt kicked for it. I mean, he's constantly getting his ass kicked in this movie, getting arrested by the cops, and they start to understand, you know, he's a little slow and so forth. But he keeps getting in over his head. And I remember me and my friends, when we'd be around the lunchroom table talking about comic books, and said, if you really dressed up like a superhero, that's a good way to get shot. And you know what? That's very true. You know, if you think that you can go after organized crime or something like that, you have another thing coming. You're going to end up dead very soon. If you dress up like an idiot and start going around the seediest bars of town and say, tell me what you know about the mafia, you're going to end up dead very, very soon. Okay? It's like Team America World Police is like, hey, how you doing? I'm a terrorist. Can you tell me about any terrorist events coming up? You know, it's just you're so dead. You're so dead at that point. And so, but this guy, he keeps, I don't know, he like accruing friends because he does try to help people. And in this movie, he had helped his coworker's kid. He works holding a sign, you know, on the highway and you know, stop, you know, go, that kind of work. And he has a friend, his foreman that he works with, and he had saved his kid's life at some point from a car. You know, a kid was running out in the street and he grabbed him, you know, that kind of thing. And so his friend, he's always looking out for him. And then one night he gets jumped by 3 guys. He comes into work all beat up and he's like, who did this to you? What happened? And he's like, oh, it's like 10, 12 guys, something like that. And so I got to take you to the hospital. And he's the friend that takes him to the hospital. He also has another friend who's played by Kat Dennings. Oh my God, is she a beauty. Holy cow, is she a good looking woman. Kat Dennings, who is a prostitute and a drug addict, you know, and he ends up being a friend to her. and she thinks that he's after what most guys are after, but she tries to like go, offer him, what does the wind do kind of thing, but he doesn't pick up on that. So she thinks he's just being nice to be nice, and that's how their friendship develops. At the end of the day, even if he is slow, he is a good person, and even if he is misguided by doing this Defendor character, he's still a nice, good person. He's sitting there telling her, it's like, you really shouldn't do drugs. She tries to steal one of his comic books. He says you shouldn't take other people's stuff. And they have this cute little conversation where he goes, he's like, everyone needs help. And then he goes to the superhero voice, even superheroes. I mean, and that's a great line. I always liked that line when I first watched it. I watched it twice this weekend. So everyone needs help, even superheroes. And that's incredibly true. All right, there's a very interesting conversation that happens at the end of the first act, where they're at the hospital, and then Defendor gets taken into the hospital room to be treated, and the family and the son and the mother are sitting there, and it's like, what? And the mother says to the son, what does this teach us? And the kid goes, next time have a gun. And the dad laughs, right? And she goes, no. It's like, is that fighting, violence never solves anything, right? And the dad says, I don't know, sometimes you can get, she's like, honey. And I don't know, it's such an important conversation. It's like, this whole idea that like violence doesn't solve anything is ridiculous. All right. Because the kid says, is it wrong to even, he says something like, is it wrong to fight even if you're helping somebody, even to help somebody? And it kind of cuts. It goes to the next scene, because the parents probably don't know how to answer that correctly. And the correct answer is like, yes, sometimes violence can solve a problem. You just got to be very judicious about when you use it. Like, don't dress up as a superhero. Don't do that. It's a good way to get shot. All right. Let me see. Next time I have a gun. It's kind of a touching story, and it's a really heroic tale. I mean, when it comes to like superhero movies and the crap that Marvel is churning out, this is more the story theme and I don't know, in-depth character study that you need to have instead of these super teams and stuff. This is the kind of superhero movie you should be watching. All right. The Marvel movies, they were great. Like, man, I mean, I feel like Jack Black. Yeah, Scorcher 1 was awesome. Let's go. It's yeah, the Ed Norton's Hulk, I loved it. The first Iron Man movie, loved it. But this is a movie we should be watching nowadays. So 10 of 13 stars, Defendor, starring Woody Harrelson. He's another guy who works a lot. I read recently that Nicolas Cage is turning 60 and probably going to slow down. It's like, dude, take a break. Absolutely. I'm sick of you. Every week I get like four more videos pop up for free on YouTube with Nicolas Cage. I was like, holy cow. Does that guy ever take a break? All right, the last movie I want to talk about is Blind Fury. It's a silly movie. But in the 90s, they probably tried to pass it off as a serious movie with a cover like that. Doesn't that just scream 90s cover? Rutger Hauer. Yeah, it's supposed to be like Highlander. It kind of has Highlander vibes. Rutger Hauer in Blind Fury. But anyway, so the premise is basically the premise of any hero in any late 80s, early 90s movie. He's a Vietnam veteran who got shot down in Nam and got blinded in Nam, and he was taught to train into a daredevil, by these Vietnamese people he was staying with, nursed him back to health and all that. And he comes back to the States and he does a bunch of ninja stuff against gangsters and stuff. It's an entertaining, fun romp. But I mean, there's not a whole lot of depth to it. Yeah. I mean, back in like the late 80s, early 90s, like the 80s in general, 80s and 90s, I swear it's like all these guys came back from Vietnam and they decided, hey, let's make a cartoon. Let's call it G.I. Joe. Yeah. Bunch of guys who like drawing all the tanks they were driving. You know what I mean? So you got a lot of this stuff in creative culture, and I enjoyed it. Anyway, so there's a couple of like really funny scenes, but the basic gist is it's kind of, you remember that movie Dinner for Schmucks where it had that blind swordsman, you know, it kind of had that vibe. It was like a 90-minute movie about that guy, you know, except he was effective, you know? Because in the movie, you know, when the lights go out, he did have the advantage and he was able to ninja all of them. But, you know, I thought it's like, I don't know if that's a premise for a whole movie. Anyway, there's one scene that I really like where these guys that are chasing him, these mob guys that are chasing him, they carjack these two old ladies and they throw them out on the street and they get in the car and they start, and they're driving off. And then one old lady reaches into her purse and pulls out this long 3357 Magnum with a long barrel. Going to start shooting at her own car as they're driving off. And they're ducking, and the camera cuts back to them driving in the car. And the guy's going, "Oh my God, that's why I always vote for gun control." And I laughed my ass off because that's true. Criminals are Democrats. Anyway. So that one good laugh is like a big reason it gets the star rating it gets. I will say I had to pull some stars back because Rutger Hauer got way too close to this young boy in this movie. There's a young boy, it's basically his friend's son, you know, and at times he gets his head real close to this young boy. And I was wondering maybe if Rutger Hauer was studying blind people in order to like research this role, because blind people who have never seen humans interact in proximity before will do that. They'll get really close to you, you know, especially if they're your friendly with them. They'll get real close. But his character wasn't blind from birth, so he knows that humans have like a bubble around them. They don't really like you to stand in generally. But blind people who are blind from birth probably don't have difficulty understanding. So it's just a fun, silly movie. Blind Fury, 1990, 8 of 13 stars. The new picture for it is much more whimsical. It's more like a cartoon. There's a scene where he was driving in it, and the kid's telling him which way to go. Alrighty. All right, let's get into the news worth knowing. You know, serious news has been bumming me out. Maybe it's just seasonal affective disorder, but I'm just going to do silly stuff, all right? Stuff I want to talk about. Because you know how it is. Like, who wants to talk about Israel and Palestine? The president's an idiot. So, Texas school district removes convicted prostitute from multiple roles, including oversight of sex ed. I don't know. Wouldn't that make her uniquely qualified for that, considering the subject matter? So, oh my God, what is this? From Godly, Texas. Oh, L-E-Y, God, L-E-Y. School district removed a woman appointed to assist with deciding things like age-appropriate material for sex education after learning she was a convicted prostitute. Fox 4 in Dallas reported that a woman identified as Ashley Ketcherside also advertises online as an escort, with one site listing one of her personas as active last month. While the idea of having a convicted prostitute work for the school district may have some scratching their heads, the issue raises concerns about background checks in the Godly Independent School District, ISD, and across the state. We had no idea what was going on in her personal life. She was always very friendly and reasonable, Godly ISD School Board Trustee Kayla Lane told the station. Mary Lowe of the nonprofit Families Engaged for Effective Education commented on Ketcherside being a convicted prostitute and working on a council that recommends appropriate grade level and methods of human sexuality instructions within the district. I don't see any community wanting that to be the standard for the school district, she said. Yeah, so I'm sure there's a bunch of organizations. Seems like there's a lot more acronyms as I don't want to read in this, but you get the gist. There was a prostitute working it. You know, it's funny because a lot of people say like sex work is work, and it's like yeah, I guess, but it's still at the very least frowned upon. If you want to say there's a difference between a prostitute and an escort, there's even like or a hoe. I mean, there really isn't. It's all the same basic idea, And I don't think these people should be, deciding what kids should, be reading about sexuality. I don't think they should be deciding. I don't think they should be around kids, generally, Just don't let them around kids. And, the school district should do a better job at screening, people. Sometimes it's as easy as like checking them, searching for them on social media, And I know I'm the guy who says it doesn't matter what you do on social media should not have a bearing on what you do on your professional life. But if you're a prostitute, it's like, if you're also in a gang and you're a very active member on a Facebook group for that gang. All right. Seriously, it's like you're a member of Hamas and you try to get a job and you're subscribed to all these Hamas Twitter accounts. Sorry, that should factor in. I don't know. I think it is seasonal affective disorder. I don't know what to say about any of this stuff. The whole world has gone mad, and I've already been there, so I'm bored. I'm bored and angry. All right, let's talk about people losing their minds on Black Friday. Man gets whooped by enraged women, with one trying to strip his pants off in a Black Friday mall brawl. Mall brawl. Pall Mall brawl. All right, so a man at a Nevada mall was given a beatdown by a bunch of enraged... Oh, he's never living it down. By a bunch of enraged ladies during a Black Friday shopping trip gone wrong. There was like 6 of them, bro. There was like 6 of them. It's like, you can't take on 6 women. Come on, man. Cut your guy some slack. The man, whose identity is not currently known. Oh, he's not sticking his head up. No way. Was attacked by ladies at Fashion Show Mall in Paradise, Nevada, near the Vegas Strip, who slapped, punched, and yanked his hair and even tried to pull his pants off. I don't know why. What led up to that? Anyway. It's not like he was a beetle, right? Yeah. It's Paul! Get his pants! The individual recording the video, Jonathan Gray, who is a rapper by the name of Prolific Johnny 5. All caps, one word. Recorded the incident and described the chaos he witnessed during the violent kerfuffle. When people say the rappers, you're unemployed. Continuing to walk up the stairs, this is a quote from him, this unemployed individual. I see a whole bunch of a ruckus, and people are looking over the balcony, and I get over to look over the balcony too. I look down, they're having a full-on hair fight. Oh, man. One of the girls was stabbed in their face. Oh, my Lord. Yeah, it was a big chaos event during the fight, he said in an interview with Fox News Digital. At the same time, there was a group of women who attacked another woman, dragging her to the floor and slapping her. Yeah, when violence breaks out, that's when people will start chirping. This is why you should try to de-escalate all the time. Don't always rush to violence. Even if someone disrespects you, because once the violence starts, the gate for disrespect gets lower. And so, since they're already fighting, you're mouthing off to me, I'm going to fight you now. And violence can compound like that. Anyway. So Gray said that a man did not enter the premises with the girls who attacked him, so he wasn't with them. According to what he saw, I know him on social media. That's why we looked at each other, kind of gave him a head nod. Then 10 seconds later, he walked down the stairs. So they passed him, and what's up, man? And the next thing you know, he's going to fight. He's getting his ass kicked by women. I guess he ran into trouble because he was not with those girls. The mall released a statement to Fox News Digital, which said, "We are well aware of this video circulating on social media. We want to be clear that we have a zero tolerance policy on this behavior. Our security officers and partners with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department responded quickly to handle the situation and remove the individuals." When asked whether generally a man should be put his hands on a woman who are attacking him, he said, "I'll be 1,000. Parenthetically, I'll be honest. Thank you, Fox News, because I didn't know that. He said, I'll be 1,000, which means I'll be honest. I'm so glad Fox News is here to translate for me, because I would never understand what that meant. I'll be 1,000. In that situation, he went on to say, everybody would have caught one in the face. You're not going to pull my hair. No, I got a little sisters. I got a wife. I don't hit no girl, but in this situation, I'm going to defend myself. Yes. I don't want to hit a woman, but if she's looking to fight, it won't take long. Unless they're like, I don't know, Ronda Rousey or something like that. I'm not saying I could beat all women. You know, some guys play that game and it's like, I figure I could beat up like 95% of everyone on Earth. Yeah. With all the women, all the cripples, you know. It's just like, why? Is it just sitting there stroking your ego?
Well, I mean, seriously, you do the math.
Have you heard that? People do that? Have you heard people doing that?
Well, you figure infants, young children, small children,
yes.
the elderly. The
yes, that's the game.
That's like 60% right
yes,
there.
I could beat up 60% of the world. Old people, yes, absolutely. But, you know, cancer patients, you know, drunk people. Like at the time you're fighting them, they're drunk. You're not. See, that's what I mean. If the alcohol gets introduced, then the stats change.
That's a fun math game to play.
I guess, but I don't like playing with math. EK's over here trying to play with flashcards. Put those flashcards away. I don't care how many sets you got. You've memorized them all. Anyway, that's Donald. Let's see what this is. So let's see. Sports Illustrated addresses allegations of AI-generated content and fake authors. I don't know if you've heard any. Where's the article? The article's gone. What the hell? Anyway, so I don't know if you heard about this, but Sports Illustrated has been using AI theory. Oh, here we go. All right. So the parent company, Sports Illustrated, is denying accusations that the popular magazine has published articles attributed to a fake author profiles using fabricated bios and AI-generated photos after a report accused the outlet of doing so, including allegations that some of the content was also AI-generated. A report from Futurism published on Monday featured several screenshots from Sports Illustrated website that appeared to show the fabricated author profiles with profile pictures that also appeared to link back to a website that sells AI-generated headshots. You get all that? Anyway, of course they're going to start doing this. Of course you get the gist. AI they're going to start trying to do this to save money on writers. But if you want to hear everything I have to say about that, I have a video on my channel called Donald Duck's Dishonorable Discharge. And it's me versus AI coming up with a story about why Donald Duck got kicked out of the Navy. And the point is that computers, I don't think they'll ever be able to match us. They just don't understand us. You know why? Because they're computers. They're programs. Language has nuance that doesn't fit in a binary world. You understand what I'm saying? So screw AI. I thought everyone was sick of it anyway. I thought everyone was sick of the AI picks anyway. What's going on? Slithering surprise. Baby python discovered inside a New Jersey dorm room. Police in New Jersey found a baby python in Rutgers University dorm room. The Rutgers University Police Department wrote a Facebook post on Monday that an officer recovered a baby python from a dorm room on campus. Officer Rebecca Phillips was responding to Voorhees Residence Hall? You going to kill all those women? You put them in Voorhees Residence Hall? Who's the resident advisor? He's always wearing this mask. For a report. So they got a report from a snake inside the dorm. So it must be a women's dorm. Somebody called about a snake being in the dorm. According to police, the snake was turned over to New Brunswick Animal Control. So they called a female officer to handle this. Oh, it's a female dorm. Okay, that's fair. Campus police at Rutgers said that any support animals need to get approval from the university. Because that's probably where it came from. Somebody got it. Quote, unwanted animals should never be released. University's police department wrote on Facebook, according to Live Science, pythons can grow up to be as much as 30 feet in their lifespan and are non-venomous. Some species can live 25 years or longer. Yeah, this could have been a bad thing if nobody spotted it. You know, if it was out there, like if it was eating mice and stuff like that, the people like, I love Voorhees. I love Voorhees Hall. There's never any mice. Never any mice. Mice all in that hall. Mice all in that hall. Never any mice. And 15 years later, some teenage girl gets strangled to death by a python. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's probably a good thing that they called. But the problem is that, you know, it's clearly not a guy dorm. If it was a guy dorm, there would be no call. There would be no news article about it. What would happen is like there would be like 4 or 5 guys that would form a hunting party. And they would go, where was it last seen? Go talk to the guy who last saw it. You know, they would have like little weapons. They would find shovels.
Popular frat amongst frat boys.
Frat boys.
Snakeskin belts.
Snakeskin belts in the frat boys. That's what guys would do. It's like, no guy would sit there and say, maybe we should call somebody. No, we're going to find that snake and kill it. I don't know. When I read this article, I was like, this is kind of silly. It was like, why? Who couldn't handle that? It was a baby python. And even if it's like a full-size python, they move slow and they don't really bite. They usually like surround sleeping people. Anyway, 2 more stories and then we're out of here for the week. Look at the way we gotta hide what we're doing. So 80s pop star Tiffany on Playboy and leaving California for Tennessee. She quote, "I never looked back." Tiffany is eager to deliver some Christmas cheer. The singer-songwriter who rose to fame in the 80s with hits like I Think We're Alone Now and Could Have Been were recorded the theme song for Lifetime's new holiday film, Ladies of the 80s, A Diva's Christmas. It follows 5 glorious ladies, leading ladies as they reunite to share the spotlight to shoot the final Christmas episode of their long-running soap opera. The film stars Lonnie Anderson, Morgan Fairchild, Linda Gray, Donna Mills, and Nicolette Sheridan, who all ruled the screen during the decadent decade. Quote, "These are truly the ladies of the 80s, Tiffany told Fox News Digital. I grew up watching so many of them on TV. That has been fun. It's been a lot of fun for me to do this." Yeah, thanks for thinking of me, she's thinking. We have one hit, and it's a cover. You're like a meme. You're an 80s meme before memes were memes. You're just literally a flash in the pan. You were always mid. Let's talk about her. Looking back on her decades-long career, the former teen pop star says she has few regrets in life. Back in 2002, she attempted to shed her squeaky clean image. Tiffany posed nude for Playboy. The singer had hoped that the racy move would encourage fans to see her in a different light. Well, literally, yeah, they did. You know, I love it still, she said about her cover. I thought it was a great thing I did. People were like, she's a one-hit wonder. And that's that little mall girl. That completely blew their perception of who I was. It was an honor that Playboy asked me to pose, and I was very happy with the shoot. Doesn't Playboy act like anybody who does like a one-hit wonder or something like that? You're in the, you trending. They'd want to get you on. Yeah. Anyway. So, hey, Tiffany's still around, y'all. How about that? And there's people like listening to her. You know, it's funny because I always thought she was mid. And I was like, well, Debbie Gibson. It's like Debbie Gibson's out there. It's like I remember guys like crushing on Tiffany. I was like, what? Really? First of all, her music is hack, literally hack. And 2, Debbie Gibson's around. Debbie Gibson's in the world. Whitney Houston's in the world. Have you heard Roxette? That girl is gorgeous. I don't know, something from my youth. You know, like, who the hell is this Tiffany girl? Meh. All right. Horses are evil, and you know, every time I can get a chance to go on a rant about how horses are evil, I take it. Horses are evil. They're loose in Manhattan, y'all. Loose in Manhattan. Horse breaks loose from a carriage and wreaks havoc in Manhattan. And in the story, you're going to find me agreeing with animal rights activists for once. A horse was able to escape its carriage and wreak havoc on Manhattan on Sunday, crushing cars before sprinting down to the West Side Highway. Video captured in the aftermath of the horse's destruction, with one onlooker showing the remains of a car that looked more like it was involved in a rear-end accident and a horse carriage badly damaged on the side of the road. Excuse me. According to a report from ABC7, the trouble started when the carriage malfunctioned and the driver agitated the horse while attempting to fix it. Those temperamental bastards. The 15-year-old horse, named Gunner, that's way too young to have a firearm, briefly dragged the driver along for the ride, causing the driver to sustain broken ribs. See what I mean? See what I mean? From there, the horse ran toward the west side highway and smashed into multiple parked cars before becoming disengaged from the carriage and continuing its journey down the northbound lanes of the highway. Eventually, Gunner slipped and fell and was subdued by 2 off-duty New York Police Department officers and taken to Clinton Park stables for evaluation. Honey, how was your day at work today? Oh, you wouldn't believe this. This horse got loose. I had to drag him down to the ground. It was awesome.
Freaking awesome.
Give me my beer. What's for dinner tonight? Ho! Where are the kids? I want to tell them about the frickin' horse. I'm sorry, New Yorkers, but you know, yeah, you did it to yourself. Yeah, that's what you sound like. The horse is okay, so that's good news, I guess. Horse is in stable condition today after it broke free from a malfunctioning carriage and it fell. Fortunately, off-duty NYPD Special Ops Mounted Unit Sergeant... Oh, so they chased him on horses? Sergeant Fontana and Officer Gehm, G-E-H-M, were in the area, sprang into action, and secured the animal to prevent further injuries. NYPD said on a statement on X. How about that? If they mounted units, you are particularly useful for this. According to Christina Hansen of the Clinton Park Stables, Gunner required some stitches in his leg from the incident. He came upstairs and settled right into his stall. He was being seen by a vet. He received some stitches. Why do I care? Anyway, the incident also renewed some calls by activists to ban horses in the city. I agree. Ban horses in the city, ban horses in the country, ban horses everywhere on earth. Let's make a big hole and shoot them all and push them in it and cover it in dirt. Every single one of them. Yeah, quote, they're crashing into cars, they're running wild, they're getting injured, they're getting killed, they're hurting pedestrians, and they're injuring drivers. Adita Bernkrant, an animal. Bernkrant. Adita Bernkrant. Great name. An animal rights advocate with NY Class told ABC7, adding that the people who run sanctuary farms have already reached out and offered to retire Gunner. Quote, he'll never have to be put in harm's way again, she said. Just put him down. See what I mean? Horses are evil. And I like to remind people, I mean, it's not just from, your safety. It's like, hopefully, I wish people would take me more seriously on this issue. We don't have to, I'm not saying let's gas them all or anything like that, but let's watch them, see what they do, see what they're up to, see if we can gain intelligence. I have some suspicions that they could be communicating with aliens, like psychic aliens that can communicate with the horses. So I don't know. I think this conspiracy can go even deeper if you really think about it. So this is going to be the end of the show. I want to remind you again to please like this video. Please share it. Please subscribe to the channel. People are like, oh, I got to make a YouTube account. It's like, yeah, make a YouTube account for me. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video. Share it with your friends. If you want to send me money, you can go through Patreon. Where am I? Okay. Patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio, or you can send me money through Cash App at # shockmonkeyradio. I would appreciate that. You can follow me on social media over here. Now I figured out left from right. This has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and I love you.